people who have worked at drive-thrus. What is the weirdest thing you've heard from people who didn't realize you can still hear them after ordering? Not weird per se, but just plain rude. A woman pulled up talking on her phone. I asked what she would like. She told me she needed a minute while continuing her phone conversation. A minute later I asked if she was ready. She yelled no and then went back to her convo with a OMG this bee at the drive-thru won't stop rushing me. It was lunch rush and there was a lot to do inside, so I started helping the other team members and ignored her 30 seconds later when she was ready to order. It made her wait a full 3 minutes before actually taking her order. Waste my time and call me a bee and I'll waste yours, lady. PS we can hear everything you say the second you pull up. I'm hungry and frisky. I said, well, we can help with the first. You are on your own for the second one. He took it in stride and was still laughing when he got to the window. A friend of mine and I agreed that the simplest things you can do to keep us happy is feed me and frick me. My mom calls the drive-thru people stupid all the time once they stop talking, and I hope they always hear me remind her that they make her food. My mom does this so much and it drives me insane. Not only is it rude as frick, I don't want spit or God knows what else in my food drink. One time these 3 guys who were stoned out of their minds came through. It took like a full 5 minutes to get through the order because they couldn't stop laughing. Also, the guy was ordering Whoppers and I don't work at Burger King. Then at the window, they had to change a bunch of the order and he was still saying Whoppers. I told him we don't serve Whoppers and they all started laughing again. One time I was at Taco Bell. I told the girl taking my order that I was going to look at the menu for a minute before I ordered, so she was silent. I saw a giant rat run under the menu and towards the building. I said holy crap, that's a huge rat, and the girl over the speaker very quietly says sorry about that. I had no idea they could hear me until that moment. Maybe not that weird, but whatever. I work at Wendy's and we had a guy come through who had this super deep masculine voice like the voice of a lumberjack or trucker, etc. He orders and then, because we're busy, he's stuck back at the speaker. I think it was Party in the USA that started playing and this guy starts singing along in a super high-pitched voice, like little girl high-pitched. All of us with headsets, which we muted, started dying of laughter. It had been a busy and crappy day, but that man made it all better. A KFC in the town over had someone selling weed through the drive-thru. His customers would ask for extra biscuits with their order, and he would put the weed in the bag. A soccer mom one day went through, had about 5 kids with her. She orders extra biscuits for them. That guy was fired pretty quickly. Made the evening news, too. I feel like they could have come up with a better code than extra biscuits. That was just a frick up waiting to happen. Sorry for the I don't work at a drive-thru post, but my youngest brother eats out a lot. He lives in a small town with about 5 restaurants, but he really only eats at Taco John's and Subway. He went to TJ's for the 4th day in a row and the worker told him they would just have his order ready at the window. He asked how they knew what he wanted and the worker told him that even if he didn't eat there constantly, they had all heard him rehearsing his order before actually ordering and knew what he wanted before he officially told them. He was so embarrassed he didn't eat there for a full week. I work at a Starbucks drive-thru and one time an older woman and a girl maybe early 20s drove up to the box. The woman started ordering, then screamed and we could hear a commotion, then saw the younger girl slapping the crap out of the woman. Then the woman started to drive forward while screaming, then the girl gets out and had crutches and a broken leg, just started hobbling away. I still have no idea what that was about. You sure you weren't watching Lady Bird? Not a drive-thru worker. Was way back in high school, but I was on the receiving end. One day my mom and I are going through the DT for some Dairy Queen. They were taking forever, as they usually do around here, and she screams, "Oh my god, it's only fricking ice cream." Lady on the speaker responded with, "Yep, it sure is." Her face went beet red. I was only 15 at the time. I died. 16 years later and I still yell "it's only fricking ice cream" at my mom. I think DQ wins for longest wait times at the drive-thru. No idea why, but I am always waiting at least 10 minutes when I am the only car there. I don't go there for fast food anymore, hahaha. I used to work at McDonald's. I was on the headset. We finish serving breakfast at 10:30. Guy pulls up at 10:40 and asks I'll have a sausage and egg McMuffin. I apologize and say that we're not serving breakfast anymore. There's silence for around 10 seconds. Then I hear him say freaking pee fairly loudly and drive out of the drive-thru at around 30 miles per hour. Way too fast. He nearly clipped someone's side mirror as he came past. Usually farts, burps, or singing. Generally before or after they've ordered, but there's a long drive-thru line so they have to wait at the microphone. We overheard a raccoon fight one time that was pretty awesome. That last part sounded like Andy Dwyer. I was a teenager when I realized that they can still hear you. My two friends and I went to a local drive-thru when we were all super high. We ordered $50 of food, which was a crap ton of food from this particular place. And after placing the order my friend said, "Do you think they can tell we're stoned?" and the dude on the intercom laughed. What was worse was that we could see him looking at us through the drive-thru window laughing at us. I was so mortified and paranoid that I literally hid on the floor of the back seat. I hope he remembers and thinks it was funny. I like to picture that you were the driver and that you got out of the car to change seats so you could hide. I know this doesn't really count, but I was at the drive-thru and rolled down the window at the order menu. I didn't notice it at first, but a spider was climbing down into my opened window now. Guy speaker: "Hi, welcome to Dunkin'. What can I get for you?" Me: "Hi, can I get?" There's a spider, followed by me screaming. Then a girl started also says over the speaker, "Should we help her?" Once I finished my order, I pull up and pay. The guy I first heard talking to me hands me my donut and said, "The weird girl drew spiders on your bag. Sorry about that." AWW weird girl. We have one of those. She would have drawn spiders too. Trust me, work a drive-thru. Weird girl keeps your soul alive. I work at the local Carl's Jr. near my home, and one day I had a couple, I think, that once they finished ordering talked about how they would put the food on each other's body parts and eat off them while they had sex. I believe his exact words were, "I can't wait to take a bite out of that chicken pea sandwich." Quite a weird experience, and the best part was when he pulled up to the window. He asked if I could speed up his order cause he had a very important meeting to attend. One of the greatest things I have experienced to this day. I would have lost my job, but being able to hand him his food and say, "Here's your chicken pea sandwich," would have made it all worth it. I was hoping to see the guy that heard my drunk girlfriend in the backseat yelling, "I want tater wedges" at midnight, about 2-3 minutes after I had already ordered 3 orders of potato wedges. Not sure if this totally counts, but happened in the drive-thru. Had a guy have a heart attack right at the window. He walked up to the window. We told him to come either doors, but he hit the ground. Called 911 and they took him away. Couple weeks later the same staff was working. Turns out he worked it out with the manager. He came in and bought us pizza and a gift card for each of us to say thank you. It was pretty crazy. Don't think I'll ever forget it. Thanks for saving his life. Can't remember the whole conversation, but the woman had her sister on the phone through the car speakers and her sister was talking about how she had anal for the first time the night before. I guess the looks on our faces when she pulled around gave away that we could hear BC. She laughed and told her sister, who, if memory serves, laughed as well. I worked at a Tim Hortons drive-thru years ago. After ordering her coffee, this lady turns up an audiobook she was listening to about dismembering people and disposing of body parts. I fear I have done this with the serial murder podcasts I listen to. Shout out to last podcast on the left. Was working a drive-thru and this guy is on the phone while ordering his food. I and the other person on mic heard him say something along the lines of how his buddy Dave had gotten into a car wreck. We didn't get to hear the rest of the story, however. He pulls up to the window and I go, "Is Dave okay?" We're all dying to know. He looked shocked and then laughed and said that yes, Dave was fine. It wasn't a bad night. Would have been tragic if Dave had passed away, what with you saying you're dying to know and all. A Starbucks employee once heard my muffled crying and gave me my drink for free. I was embarrassed because for some reason I was crying simply because I heard that Jimmy Fallon's mother had died. I don't even like him that much, but I guess it just really hit me, lol. Sounds like me pregnant. Heard a woman talk about sex on the phone with, I'm assuming, a friend of hers, because they were talking about how whatever guy she had sex with had a small penis and both of them cackled maniacally. I could hear the woman on the phone because she was so loud. I work at a local burger ice cream place. During the summer, we'd occasionally get pretty backed up and drive due to everything pretty much being made to order. So I take this lady's order, but she has to sit there for a while since the line was so backed up. About 7 or so minutes after she orders, she, very loudly, says what the frick could be taking so long. It's a fast food place. She had no idea we could hear her. So, without much thought, I turned my mic back on to apologize for the wait. I could feel her embarrassment from the window. I didn't really realize that I called her out like that until my coworker said something. They've installed a voice like Siri in the ordering machine now. Watch. Proceeds to pull up the rest of the way and treat me like a robot. I used to just overhear a lot of people calling me a fuckwit under their breath or to their passengers. In their defense, I was a little fuckwit. I was standing in Carl's Jr. waiting for my lunch one day and someone pulled into the drive-thru asking if their $1 chicken sandwiches had a tax. After they were told yes, he goes, frick this crap, I'll just go to MC Donald's. Still going to have tax there, man. The man only had $1. There was this one time that the line was in a standstill and the mic didn't turn off. So, this dude says, oh yeah, man, I heard my brother got fricked in the butt last night. I crap you not, that happened, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. That's nice. Thank you for telling me that. Not exactly the question, but Starbucks drive-thru has a camera on your car, so we can see you and inside your car when you are ordering. At least mine did circa 2006. Once had a dude at the box order a frappuccino while getting a BJ. Could see her head bobbing up and down. I asked, and anything for the lady head stopped bobbing and they drove through without picking up that frap. Lots of people doing drugs and drinking. Some more sexy stuff, mostly handies and fingering. Had 3 BJs in 4 years, but I wasn't on window for one. The lady already had a drink. I used to work at a McDonald's in my town. This lady starts to order and she sounds incredibly rude. This new guy didn't know how to work the headset and he had the microphone on. Here was the convo. We will call him idiot. Idiot. Man, this lady sounds like a bee. Mia, your headset is on, please turn it off. Idiot, bitch, fatouche ordering all this crappy food. Me, your microphone is on, she can hear you. Idiot, what do you mean? No, it's not. He just kept going. I ended up having to go up to the front and knocking the headset off his head. The lady wasn't very happy either. Oh, so many times. We had a bitchy lady regular when I worked at Starbucks. Y'all are shocked. I know. A newbie one time was training on drive-thru. Hit the speaker button instead of the staff button and said, this is the bee you guys have been telling me about. She was right. That bee made us remake all her coffees for a solid week. B. My drive-thru got piped into a speaker into the kitchen, so all the staff could hear you. We heard phone calls, music, relationship drama, impatient LOS even after we asked them to wait a moment, stoned giggling, drunk giggling. Basically, if you said or did anything in front of the drive-thru box, the entire kitchen heard it. Listen to a full-on argument between a couple one day when my drive-thru was moving really slow, swearing, threatening to break up, the whole thing. It was an eventful 5 minutes and took everything in my power not to turn my mic back on and go, you get him girl, to freak them out, haha. But my favorite thing was listening to people turn their music back on and sing after they were done ordering. It was just so adorable and happy to hear people jamming out without a care in the world. Sometimes people would add guitar or drumming sounds to the performance, too. It was just so adorable and happy to hear people jamming out without a care in the world. I think this is so sweet. I love that you love it. Once I heard a young group in a Hummer passing out biscuits and talking about the fried chicken they just got from KFC. This was while in my drive-thru line at Popeyes. I was on the phone with my friend while she was in line at Taco Bell. About 15 minutes after she ordered, I heard her thank the guy. I said, Jesus Christ, you're just now paying? I finished dinner, took a crap, and you're still in line. I didn't realize she had me on Bluetooth through the car stereo, so the dude at the window heard me. He laughed and offered her a free drink to make up for the wait. I'm sorry, I can't get past the realization that this pretty much means you were finishing dinner and then dropping a deuce while on the phone. Earlier this year, my buddy and I were headed to a music festival and decided to stop and get some Chick-fil-A breakfast. It was right after 10:30, which is the cutoff, and they already had the lunch menus out and everything. So my buddy was like, "Oh man, I really wanted some mini biscuits." I responded with, "Yay, and their hash browns are the best." We has no idea they could hear us, and she silently put in a bunch of extra breakfast stuff without charging us or saying anything. They're the best. I went to get a coffee for my mother at Starbucks, and I was listening to her podcast through Bluetooth really loud because you have to for some reason. And I paused it to order. Well, my mom called while I was in the middle of the order, so the freaking Imperial March from Star Wars went blaring through my car, scaring the living crap out of me and the poor gentleman taking my order. We both had to take a minute and he just laughed. Then girls around him laughed, and then I profusely apologized like I was at a confessional. I proceeded to tip him like $7 on a 5.00 order. He was so nice and he joked about it, and I apologized more when I got to the window. I love how the ringtone for your mom is the Imperial March. There was this lady screaming at her kids and all but threatening to beat them. Our order taker welcomes her and she switches to this sweet as pie disposition. The Jekyll and Hyde change up really creeped me out. Sounds like my parents. Kind of the opposite of this. Went through a Taco Bell drive-thru. When confirming the order on the screen, we notice there's a dozen bean burritos on there that we didn't order. We tell him we don't want them, and hear a slightly quieter "well, I'm gonna eat them" through the intercom. Laughed our asses off. Still comes up occasionally. I work at a taco installation that happens to be from Wyoming. When a customer comes through with a Bluetooth hands-free phone call going, it plays through the speakers so it's easy to hear. It always a treat. The one that stands out to me the most was this 30-40-year-old woman who was talking about how she couldn't help but find her daughter's teacher attractive, and how it affected parent-teacher conferences. At this point she went into detail about what she wished would happen, which I was not paid enough to listen to. She bought a large Diet MT Dew and that was it. Also, we have train tracks almost right behind our store and we can hear the trains through the speaker, and it's hard to hear the customer, and one time I asked if they could pause their order to let the train pass. My manager told me no one does that and that it's weird, so I got teased a bit about it. Now my religion is of the trains. The trains are speaking. Might be too late, but I worked at McDonald's for a summer before moving away for college. Some little girl said, "Daddy, can I have some ice cream?" and he said, "Why the frick would I buy you anything?" It broke my heart into pieces. Frick, I hope she's doing okay now. Well, this isn't directly related, but I worked at Taco Bell about a year ago, and it was around early December, and I, usually do drive-thru, was working on the line, while my buddy Sean was on drive-thru. Well, the entire time he'd been saying happy holidays to everybody, so me and the other guy online were egging him to say happy Hanukkah to the next car, and he did. She just ordered like one burrito, said thanks and drove off, and we were all like, LOL, nice one Sean XD. Well, the next day we got a survey in from the back of those receipts, which is the determining factor on whether or not we get free food. If we have good surveys we get free food, if not none. Well, the survey filled out was all 1 out of 5 stars. And here are some gems from it. Not exactly just what I remember. I had a terrible experience. The idiot working drive-thru mistook me for some freaking Jew. How does that even happen? My nose isn't that big. Is it because I only bought one thing? There isn't even that many Jews out there. America is only like 3% Jewish. Next time I expect to be treated correctly. The day we got that survey, my manager read it out loud to everybody in the back, and we all had a good laugh. Since it was such a stupid survey and it negatively affected our free food thing, he let us all make something for free. The only thing I'll miss about that crap hole is my coworkers. Not sure if this counts, but one morning at a Taco Bell my manager was passing out food and customers were giving strange looks when accepting food and such. The second customer pulls up all cheery and goes, "Is that fake?" My manager is flabbergasted and asks her what she's talking about. That's when we notice the biggest spider I've seen in the wild nestled right in the crevice of the brick ledge. I think it was some sort of huntsman or wolf spider. Everybody panicked, shut their windows, and the customer came inside to get their food. Was working at McDonald's while in high school. I've since served as a combat medic and can safely say that the drive-thru was still my shittiest time in life. Anyway, this one woman comes up to the speaker and, before I acknowledge her, is screaming the most vile profanities imaginable at, what I can only assume, is her children in the same car. I greet her and her tone immediately shifts to pleasant. She gets up to the window and does the same thing, screaming profanities and then super pleasant during our interaction, until, of course, she realizes that we didn't give her enough straws. Then I, too, was a useless freaking piece of crap whom my mother should have aborted rather than living with the shame of having a son working at McDonald's. As I was 16 and gave few fricks, I said, "Mom, I'm 16. I have plenty of time to grow out of working at McDonald's. This gesturing towards her is probably going to last a lifetime." Manager had to give her some free french fries to calm the frick down and go away. I have a husky voice for a female, and I overheard a guy who was ordering a Happy Meal say, "I always had a thing for girls with deeper voices." I saw him and there was no one in the passenger seat beside what looked like a sex doll. Not exactly what you are asking, but we had a woman come through our Jimmy John's drive-thru. She said her husband owned our franchise and ordered a ton of food. My manager told me to give it all to her for free. Later that day we learned that the guy that owned our location was single. Your manager seems to be an idiot. More seeing it than hearing it. People don't realize that we have a live camera feed on the speaker post and that I can see them. A couple pull up, guy driving orders and his girlfriend keeps asking him to ask if we do cheese bites and he says no. He then finishes the order and as he drives away, she full force slapped him for not ordering cheese bites. When they got round to the window, it was extremely awkward and he must have came to his senses because he added on cheese bites. Not that weird, but had a guy unknowingly tell me to go frick myself and that because I was a woman I think I can talk to him like that and think I can deny him a filet-o-fish at 8 AM. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.